In the last video, we talked about constructing confidence intervals around a particular point, so our 8-year-old's reading level. We can also create confidence intervals for the slope and the y-intercept of the regression equation. Okay. Now, so remember when we calculate this regression line, these are sample statistics, our y-intercept and our slope. So they are based on a sample. There could be error in those because if we picked a different sample, we might get a slightly different regression line. So we can build confidence intervals for those. The calculator is only going to do this for slope. For y-intercept, we have to go to Google Sheets and do an add-on with that, and I will show you how to do that. But first, let's do with the calculator. So we want to construct a 95% confidence interval for the slope, B1, of the regression equation for age and reading level. Okay, same data we've been working with this whole lesson. This is our y-hat equation, okay, our y-intercept and our slope. And like we said, we don't know for sure that this is, clearly it's not exact, that slope. So we want to create a confidence interval for that. So we have our data in L1 and L2. And this time we're going to go to Stat, Test, and run a linear regression t interval. Okay. So when you go to Test, if you scroll up, you'll get there faster. So before we were working with linear regression t-test, now we want a linear regression t-interval. Okay, asks us where our data is, our confidence level. It doesn't matter if you store it or not. Okay, and we're going to calculate this. And it just pops it up for us right there. Okay, so that interval, I'll type it here, is 0.7589 and 0.9708 is our interval. Okay, which means that slope, we can interpret this too. We would say something like the 95% confidence interval for the slope B1 is this. Okay, or you could say something like, we're 95% confident that the slope of this regression equation is between those 2 points. Okay, and what the slope is telling us is that for every year older, we can expect student reading levels to go up by 0.865. Or it may not be 0.865, it could be somewhere in this interval. So every year a student gets older, their reading level should go up between 0.75 and 0.97. Okay, so that's what that's telling us. Now, the y-intercept, in this particular problem, the y-intercept doesn't make a lot of, it doesn't have a lot of practical purposes for us, but in other ones it will. The y-intercept would be, the expected reading level of a newborn, which that doesn't make any sense. But I want to show you how to do this so that you have it for other problems. That it does make more sense. So we don't know that for sure that newborns have a reading level of negative 3.8. We could have a confidence interval for that. Calculator will not do this, so we are going to have to go to Google Sheets. So you just need to open up a new Google Sheet and put in your age and reading level data. Okay, same ones that we've been working with. Now, this is the part that you're going to have to do because you don't have this on your spreadsheet yet. If you go to add-ons, you are not going to see these things. These are things that I have in mind. Yours probably just says get add-ons and manage add-ons. So you're going to click get add-ons. And you are going to type in search apps. You're going to type for XL, and the very first thing that should pop up is this XL Minor Analysis Tool Pack. So you'll click on that, and the XL Minor Tool Pack should come up. Now, mine says it's installed, yours won't, so you'll click on that, and then right here it should say install. If it doesn't, I might have to talk to Mrs. Fransdorf about allowing this, but I think we go through this every year, so I think you're allowed to. So go ahead and install it. Once it's installed, when you go to add-ons, it's going to show up here. Okay, so that's what we want. Go to XL Minor and start. And I put it over in the notes. The one that it has so many things, and we will be using this again in 12.4 because so many things happen in here. We are doing linear regression. Let's go ahead and drop that down. And then it wants to know where our data is. So input the Y range. So the Y that we're looking at is reading levels. So just click and drag and highlight that, and then click Y range, and it'll put it in there. And then input x range, click and drag on your x values, which are age. Click over in that box, it'll put it. Notice when I highlighted, I included the labels, so you want to check that you have labels there. You can change the confidence level. And then output range is just where you want the data to show up. So just come over here to D1 and click. So that's just where the table is going to spit out. If you want to see the residuals and the residual plots, you can check those. The line flip plot, we don't need any of those things, but they're kind of interesting. And we're just going to hit OK. And it's going to spit out all of its data. All right, so you can see a bunch of stuff here that we've talked about. We've got your R value here, 0.9889, which we said was really high. Standard error, we calculated that in a previous video. That's our N, our size. Our p-value is here. They call it a significance, but we can see that this is statistically significant. And right here is what we're looking at, coefficients. Those should look familiar. This is our intercept. Okay, there's our y-intercept and our age coefficient. So that's our slope. Okay, it calculates standard error for those and some other stuff that we don't really need right now. We'll get to it next lesson. What we really want is these last two. Right here, lower 95%, upper 95%. That is your confidence interval for the y-intercept. And right here was the confidence interval for the slope that we just did on the calculator. Okay, so if you need to calculate the confidence interval for a y-intercept, you're going to have to use this. For slope, you can use the spreadsheet or you can use your calculator. So I know that is a ton of technology for this, but it really does obviously make things easier than calculating by hand. Please make sure you're reading the section and really understanding some of the nuances that happen with these.